Hey guys, welcome to Storytime with Amanda. So today I wanted to talk about something that really bothers me when it comes to driving. Can you tell, like behind me, all the cars back and forth? Like, it's a busy day outside today. So something that bothers me while driving, and I'm sure it bothers a lot of people, but it really bothers me for personal reasons, is texting while driving, okay? We all know that it is a big cause for accidents. We all know how, things can change in the blink of an eye when you're driving, and having your concentration not focused on the road and trying to respond to a text message is probably one of the most dangerous things you can do, right? Well, I'm not one to text and drive. Now, I'm not saying I haven't, right? But I learned my lesson 9 years ago when this particular situation happened. So I was not the one texting and driving. I was actually rear-ended by someone who was texting while driving. And I say that with absolute confidence because they actually admitted to it when the officer came to the accident scene and asked what happened, asked for his recap on the story, right? So let me give you this scenario. I'm driving home from work. It's just me in the car. I'm on my way to pick up my little one, and at the time I had a teeny tiny little one. She was about 2. So this was 9 years ago. And I was in a low car. I was in a little Saturn Ion at the time. I now drive an SUV because that's the only way I feel safe. That is actually something that happens to people that have been in horrific accidents. Now, granted, my Saturn Ion was not a horrific accident, but it was enough to scare me to a point where I no longer felt safe in a low-to-the-ground car, okay? But here's the scenario. So I'm sitting at a red light, okay? I'm in the middle lane, and this is a pathway I take home every day, right? And I was in the middle lane. I was stopped at a red light. There were cars like approaching from the last light cycle up to mine. And I noticed in my rearview mirror, because I'm one of those drivers that's constantly checking all the mirrors, right? I noticed in my rear view that there was a car coming up in my lane kind of, rather quickly, but not in a sense of like, swerving or anything like that. Like they just seem to be traveling a little faster than normal. So I kind of braced myself for, the startling sound of them slamming on their brakes, right? Well, unfortunately, that never happened. They ended up just slamming right into the back end of me. Like there was no braking on their part. There was no slamming on the brakes, period. Like they came to a stop and didn't realize I was even there until our cars were literally molded together. And mind you, it was a kid in high school, so obviously like he knew better, but at the same time, like, he's young. You expect that out of that age group, right? And I felt bad for the guy. Like, he was literally in tears, upset over the fact that he just made a mistake while driving. Thankfully, neither of us were injured, but our cars were totaled. Mine wasn't completely totaled, but there was enough damage and enough frame damage that the insurance company just went ahead and totaled it out because it wasn't going to be worth fixing, right? His car, the whole front end, he was in like a little Honda Acura that had been lowered. So his whole front end was under my car, okay? Completely ruined, like completely totaled. There was no way they were going to be able to fix that car. And it was really unfortunate that it happened that way, but he was honest with the officer and told him, I was texting while driving. I'm going to be honest with you. I wasn't even paying attention. That's what happened. And the officer asked me, is that how you saw it? And I'm like, honestly, all I saw was he was coming up on me, and I thought that they were going to actually start slowing down. I didn't see him texting. Like, to be really honest with you, like, you can't see that in a rear view mirror. So this happens, right? I go on about my week or whatever. My car goes in the shop. I have to go get a new car, all this stuff, right? I get a rental car until they can figure out if they're going to fix my car or get me a new one. All this huge mess. Well, that happened on a Monday. The following Monday rolled around. Okay, I'm sitting at the same intersection in a rental car. Okay, I'm in the same exact spot. And I do not kid you when I start hearing tires squealing in the lane next to me. Okay? And I look over just in time as the car pulling up to the one that's next to me on my side of the vehicle gets slammed into the back end of them, right? And as I look over, of course, I panic because I'm like, oh crap, like I call, 911, all that stuff. I'm not joking, guys. People don't learn their lessons, okay? It was the same kid. Serious as a heart attack. It was the same boy that hit me a week prior. He's now in his parents' vehicle and has literally slammed in to the back end of someone else's car right next to me. What are the odds, right? So of course I was the only person that decided to stop and be a witness for what happened. And the officer asked me what I saw. I told him I heard the tires squealing. I looked over. I saw the car collide with the one next to me. Just so happens to be this same individual that hit me last week. And the officer was like, I think I worked y'all's accident. It was the kid that was texting, right? You're right. It was that kid. And he was like, okay, well, let me go ask him what, his version of the story is and all this stuff, right? As we're leaving the scene, you're never going to believe this. The kid had admitted a second accident now that he was texting while driving. Not joking. Like, how are we supposed to... Like this, you would think after the first time around he would have learned. But no, he didn't learn. He continued to do the same behavior. So, like, I don't understand how we're expecting grown adults to not text while driving. Like, it really shouldn't shock us anymore that this stuff is like normal behavior. But it really does concern me that this many people will text while driving and have no regard for anyone else on the road. Like, I just don't get it. I don't get it. Like, if someone texts me while I'm driving, I will literally hand my phone to my kid in the back seat and be like, hey, can you respond to so-and-so with this? I don't necessarily want my kid involved in my conversations, especially when they're grown-up conversations. But sometimes that's the safer route. Or the safest route is to just ignore it until I get where I'm going, right? But if it's something that has to be, that's dire, I have whoever else is in the car with me respond. If I'm alone, it just waits until I get where I'm going. Just going to be honest with you. So I'm trying to figure out how things are so important that they have to be responded to right now when you're alone in the car. Like, I don't know. It bothers me that this many people will drive and text at the same time. But again, I guess, like I said, we shouldn't be shocked. Like, we shouldn't expect more out of our children and the millennials, so to speak, if us as our generation as adults will not expect more out of ourselves. So there's kind of a two-parter with this. Like, don't text while you're driving. And two, don't expect someone to do something that you wouldn't yourself do. Like, that you wouldn't be the example for them to not do it or change their behavior. So take that with what you want. Take it with a grain of salt. It's just kind of it's a catch-22 at all times. But that's my small little story time with Amanda today, with a slight little PSA added onto it. So hope y'all enjoyed it. Until I see y'all next time, Stay safe out there. Don't be texting while you're driving. Try to retain your sanity in the meantime. Spread kindness like glitter, and don't be a grown man bully, okay? Don't do that. It's mean. Until then, bye.